Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. My name is Rick Beaudry. I am a co-founder of ThoughtRock, and I'd like to welcome all the consulting folks that we have with us today who have inquired about this specific information, and we thought we'd put together a quick info session with respect to the ThoughtRock ITIL Accredited Training Affiliates program. And one of the reasons why this has come about is our continuous effort to help our member consultants, those that are in the ITSM consulting world, to generate revenue and expand their businesses and continue to look for ways to do that and working with our member consultants. And as you'll see, we think there's quite an opportunity, at least in a growing market with respect to ITIL training, that can make it easy and very cost-effective for our consultants to add another line to their P&L statements at the end of the year. So one of the reasons that we are talking about this today is a pretty interesting stat, and that is that in the world today, this stat was actually from February of this year, that over 19,000 people sat the ITIL Foundation's exam worldwide. And of that 19,000 in 1 month, 3,800 of those folks are in North America, which is predominantly where a lot of our ITSM consultants are. And now those numbers are also large in Asia and in Europe as well. But specifically, that 3,800 number is a very interesting number in North America. And one of the questions that I would have for you, and it's kind of a rhetorical question, is how many of those 3,800 would be clients of those ITSM consultants that are on the line today or that are listening to this in recorded fashion. It's a growing market. Those numbers do oscillate, but they are strong and are fairly consistent in terms of those kinds of volumes of the number of people worldwide and in North America that continue to get educated at a foundation level, and a majority of those in corporations, again, that a lot of you are probably working in. So when you think about yourself, there is you Inc., and most of you are set up as a small business and do have multiple clients, and probably within those clients, you've always been looking at ways to improve or diversify the revenue stream within your consulting business. So it's not just predominantly about hourly rates that you charge for consulting, but what are some of those other things that you can do given that you have a great trusting relationship with those clients, and how can you expand your business and do it in some form of a low risk, because we do know that a lot of folks that are small businesses aren't necessarily interested in taking on a lot of risk, but want to leverage their capability and leverage the relationships that we have. So again, I think you think about this. If you haven't already, you definitely need to think about yourself as a business and you Inc. And the opportunities that you have in the ITIL space. Most of you are already there in terms of the fact that, as I mentioned earlier, that the customers that you're dealing with, the customers that you're doing ITSM consulting with, incident, problem, change, you name it, config, overall process, tool implementations, they're already clients, they're already personal relationships that you have, and there's opportunities to leverage them further. Oftentimes you see training dollars being spent, and you may not be necessarily part of it, maybe part of the consulting relationship, but we do believe that there are simple ways that you can take part of it. Today specifically we're going to talk about it with respect to ITIL Foundations, but in future sessions like these information sessions, we're going to talk about a lot of other options that you're going to be able to think about in terms of partnering with ThoughtRock that are really going to open up business opportunities for you with those customers where, again, you already have the relationships, and we believe you can leverage them further. In terms of being able to teach and think about this ITIL Foundations market and getting a chance to participate in that market share, that growing market share of folks that are delivering ITIL training, but do it under your own umbrella and you Inc. and becoming an accredited training affiliate will allow you to do that. And really, for you to do that, it's some very basic credentials that you need. One is that you are ITIL Foundation certified and you have at least a total of 9 ITIL credits. The foundation course is responsible for up to 2 of those credits, and the other 7 can come from a couple of different ways. But very, very straightforward from that perspective. And here's the kind of a credit profile, and you can go online and you can talk to any of the certification bodies to find out specifically what the right path is to get those 9. Most of you probably already have this through your education path that you've already taken. Most ITSM consultants have already gone beyond just ITIL Foundation certification. So you will probably, if you don't already know, you probably would be surprised to find out that you already do have the minimum training credentials from a standpoint of ITIL to be able to teach courses for corporations and for individuals. So again, if you can refer to this, if you go online, you can find this chart anywhere, but it talks about, I mean, ideally where you would get, if you're only at foundations and you want to quickly move through to be able to do this, you would look probably in the life cycle modules or in the capability modules, and either one out of each would give you the total of 9 credits in combination with your foundations, or 2 within life cycle or 2 within capability. But again, I will leave that up to everybody to make those decisions on their own, but just gives you an idea of how those are calculated. In addition, there are some complementary qualifications as well. If you look through some of these courses, where again, if you add up in the aggregate of your credits across maybe some of these courses in addition to your ITIL courses, again, might get you very close, if not over, the 9 ITIL credits that are required. What else do you need to make you qualified? Again, very straightforward, and things that you'd think would be very practical and necessary for you to stand up in a classroom of corporate employees and be able to be a good expert in the area of ITIL foundations and be able to kind of expand beyond that curriculum and give good anecdotal evidence and good practical experience. So you probably already have 3 years of practical ITSM experience. I would doubt that there's very few of you that are out there practicing that don't have at least 3 years of practical ITSM experience under your belt. The second thing is that you've got a minimum of 10 days of classroom training. And again, it's important to know that if you're standing up in front of folks when it comes to a new curriculum, that you've had some experience in stand-up training and stand-up classroom. And most of you, again, in your consulting practices and the consultants that I've come across over the years, you have had chances to, even in consulting, oftentimes it's a fine line between what is consulting and what is training, because often consulting is knowledge transfer. So the reality is you just need to take a look at those situations where you've had to stand up in front of a group and deliver some sort of curriculum in a classroom setting. And again, I think this is a fairly easily attainable milestone to hit in terms of your qualifications. And part of that classroom training is it's important that it's been adult education experience as well. So it's important that you can demonstrate that you've taught and trained adults, and maybe you've got some teaching experience with elementary school or students or coaching or something. But what we really want to look at is the fact that you've had the experience with adults, and these are adults obviously that you'll be standing up in front of in terms of teaching ITIL, and it's important that you've been there before. So those are really the basic. You've got your 9 ITIL credits. If we go back up, you've got your 9 ITIL credits that you need. You have your minimum 3 years of practical ITSM experience. You've got your minimum of 10 days of classroom training and some adult education experience that you can demonstrate. So once you've demonstrated those base level credentials to become an accredited training affiliate with the ThoughtRock curriculum, you have to think about, as I mentioned earlier when we started, is that you're already in the market probably. Your clients are already doing this. And one of the things I'll talk about is the buyers and the buying profile. Typically, the buyers of training really do prefer local partners, partners that they can look in the eye, they can have local meetings with, and it's someone potentially that they've trusted before. If you're a trusted consultant, oftentimes you're a trusted trainer, especially if you've got the credentials, as we mentioned earlier, of your experience in doing the training. So when you think about it as a consultant, if behind that you've been accredited to teach the ITIL Foundations course with globally accredited material, if it's your client that's looking to do this for a small group or a large group of employees in their organization, why wouldn't they turn to you if they know that you have that option? And so you really are in the ideal market already. You already have those trusting relationships. Training has always been a regional play and a local play, and I think it'll continue to be that way for the most part. So you have an advantage when you've got those relationships over somebody that is calling in remotely. So we think you can leverage it and continue to leverage it further. In terms of the financials, it's really up to you. One of the things that's important to understand is that your costs are fixed. We're talking about when you become an accredited training affiliate that you really have royalty fees that you need to pay for, the access to the student guides. The printing and shipping costs are fairly low, and they will the shipping costs specifically will be determined by the speed with which you need the manuals delivered. If you're ordering in advance of a few days, then usually those shipping costs are very, very minimal. So really your fee is your main fee is the $85 per student guide for the royalty. And then when you look at the bigger picture and you realize you can do your own market research on this, and it does vary by region, but the typical foundation class price can be anywhere from $800 to $1,000 to $1,200 per student. And when you look at your fixed investment and then what your profit potential is, it is a pretty intriguing market to think about, pretty intriguing business offering to think about, especially as I mentioned when you go back to those other points, you're already into those clients, they already trust you, you have the experience, and as an ITSM consultant, more than just a trainer, you can stand up there again with those students and really relate the content back to practical examples of the work that you've seen, the work that you might even be doing from a standpoint of implementation. So I think it is important to understand that you already have so much of what is needed and what would be required to be a successful business practitioner when it comes to the delivery of ITIL training. And as well, we focus on ITIL Foundations right now because that number, when you go back to the very top, the 19,000 worldwide, when you go beyond that to the other courses and the other curriculum, that number drops very significantly. So the real market opportunity, the volume, which is from a standpoint of you Inc. and your business, when you're looking at it from a business perspective, where is the most opportunity for you to be able to leverage it as a new source of revenue, you need to start at that foundation level. And then from there, getting broad-based access to the employees and to the broader group of students, then the other doors will start opening up and things that we can talk about going forward as well, other education opportunities that you might be able to partner with ThoughtRock to be able to leverage and deliver yourself as well. The math is quite simple, as we just determined, and the return is very attractive. The return not only on that individual class, but even on your work effort and your time in advance. That once you've done this a few times, really once you walk into that classroom, you're prepared every time. So we think it is a great model for you to consider. And when you think about why ThoughtRock, we do think there's an advantage to ThoughtRock. We are now in excess of 6,000 members worldwide. So we're working really hard to continue to keep this kind of innovative education message alive and this community of education, and to support people in that community, especially our consulting partners, to really support them in growing their businesses and really improving access to ITIL training worldwide. It's not about necessarily taking market share from each other. It's actually about improving access and improving the volumes of where we're at, and maybe even beyond the 19,000 if we can do it right. So from a ThoughtRock perspective, it is about partnering, but really it's a recognized global education brand that we have, and we've worked really hard to get that education brand recognized. And I think specifically in North America and in Europe and in some parts of Asia, when we look at the number of hits to our website on a weekly basis, it's growing substantially, and it's growing from all pockets and all regions of the world. So it's a very recognized brand that would be on your student guide and also could be co-branded with you. It is accredited course material. We spent years working with the accrediting bodies with our course material to make sure that it is strong, stands on its own, and is something that the students enjoy and the instructors enjoy delivering. So that accredited course material is from our perspective, is top of the line. The second thing is we also believe that the student course bundle that we're offering to your students, is really different than anything else that's out there. In addition to your instructor manual and your student guide and the associated practice exams, you also get an online course login. And the question is, why would you get the online interactive course, the self-study course, in addition to the classroom course? We believe there's power in a blended learning model. And when you deliver the classroom training from a standpoint of being able to then go back and do some self-study in preparation for that exam, the student now has access to that online course as well, which we think is phenomenal. In addition to the the outstanding ThoughtRock support that you will continue to get as part of this. When you look at that student guide on the left-hand side, there's also the Foundations interactive course that you can, at any time, you can go take a look at. You can get links to that. Just info@thoughtrock.net will help you get some samples of that. So that combination, that powerful combination of being able to go to your students and say student guide, and again on the student guide you can brand that with your own brand if that's required, and then having access to that interactive course as well, which will help them study and help them refer back to things as they get prepared for the exam, we think is a very powerful bundle, and it's very different than anything else that's out there, and two really, really solid quality instruments for the student in terms of preparation for that exam. In addition to that, we continue to talk about partnership, and as I mentioned, we're going to continue to look at ways to work with our consultants to really help them grow their ITSM business. We believe you're going to put your brand in front of, we've got 5,000 plus here ThoughtRock members, and as I mentioned, it's actually exceeded 6,000 now. These are folks who are looking. There are people in ThoughtRock in the community consistently looking for a local ITIL training. Oftentimes we can help them with the self-study online product, but when they want someone to come in and deliver classroom training, we need great people in those cities and people that they can trust. So through whether it's through site advertising, targeted email campaigns, or even our presence in the social media arena. We are going to look for ways to promote our consultants who are in the various cities when that demand is there. And again, the reason is if you are delivering more ITIL training to more students with our student guides, obviously ThoughtRock wins as well in terms of the numbers of students that we're reaching and the royalties that we're getting. So it is a business win-win by us promoting you. So we are doing it really from a business perspective to grow our relationship and to grow the distribution of our products in the marketplace. So to get started, it's very, very simple. You can call us at 877-581-3942 or anytime email us at info@thoughtrock.com for us to answer your questions and just let us know that you're looking for questions related to the ATA program. We'll help you with everything you need to get started with your ATA application. Really, as long as you've got your resume and your proof of your ITIL certifications, we can get going. There's a component of the application that really, a small component that you need to fill in. The rest is really up to us. We'll work through that and then talk with some of the other governing body fees that go in association with being an ATA that are fairly minimal. But other than that, once you're accredited, you're ready to go, and you are working with a team at ThoughtRock that will service you very, very quickly in terms of turnaround time to get those guides out to you and out to your students and answer your questions. So I want to thank everyone for joining us today and thank those folks who have inquired and asked us to put together this information session. Hopefully it's intrigued you, and there's a number of you that are looking at least asking some more questions about how to get more involved with ThoughtRock and these types of partnerships. So we will leave it at that, and want to thank you again very much and look forward to hearing from some of you very soon. Thank you.